Welcome to another episode of Arcpoint Sessions. Today is a very, very, very special episode. Not only is it our first non-classical musician, I think it might be the first person I just found on the internet webverse and just was like, I think this guy's mind is pretty cool. So it's my privilege and honor to welcome Makadi to the Arcpoint Sessions community. Welcome.
What up? What up? Thank you, Jacob. I appreciate it. Happy to be here. Happy to be here. Happy to be a part of the expanding community of conscious artists.
Yeah, no, it's my pleasure. I'm so thankful we can make the time work and we can get a conversation going and yeah. Okay, so something that Makati has been doing recently, I want to just say this because I think that everyone should go back and watch them. They're all done now, right? I believe this
The
whole month
30 days. Yeah,
passed.
I'm still posting, of
Yes.
course. But yeah, the 30-day challenge is over.
He's still posting, but there's this whole month he did, and this is how I discovered him online. Was he posted every single day with a new topic about just what he was thinking about and being an authentic human being in this very interesting world that we live in. And I think, instead of watching the other content on there that's a little brain rotty, maybe go watch this guy's stuff and get your brain churning a little bit. But before we get too far along, can you tell a bit about of like an origin story, a bit about yourself, what you do?
Yeah, yeah, of course. Yeah, no, thanks for the intro and I'll get into the 30-day challenge in a little bit too after
Oh
I
yeah.
kind of get the background just because that was a kind of a cool pivot in my life and kind of where I'm at. But yeah, so also, I know we had like a conversation off camera, but I grew up in poverty. I'm first generation. My family's from Africa. Half my siblings were born over there, half were born here. I've four siblings total. I'm in the middle. Um, yeah, so basically I kind of grew up in a household that prioritized education, you know what I mean, and how important that was. And like learned that from a young age, started working from a young age. I feel like I was kind of lucky to have found the arts and found the passion of the arts kind of at a younger age because I feel like that helped keep me out of trouble and kind of like be able to focus on something, and kind of start to develop that emotional intelligence and emotional development and like that just innate feeling of like, oh, this feels good. I want to keep doing this, or this has a deeper meaning that you might not be able to put your finger on, but it was important, you know? I don't come from a family of musicians, but like I would say like musician adjacent,
Mhm.
my older brother sang for a little bit. My sister she raps and like kind of like we all grew up listening to like a lot of hip hop and R&B and like that was kind of part of the culture and the vibe and everything. But my dad also listened to a lot of Motown and jazz and the record player. So I feel like all this little the accessibility that I had to all these things were there,
Right.
and it definitely shaped me. I kind of, yeah, and just like listen to radio, listen to, Neos of the world and Marios and like just kind of like late 90s, early 2000s R&B, kind of like, I was singing along and that's kind of like how I got into it. Like I sang in church too, but that was actually a little bit later. Um, but yeah, basically, kind of like I just had an affinity for the arts. It just kind of naturally happened. For a while, I was doing breakdancing like early in high school, and that was kind of a passion. But I realized the common denominator was like that the music is what drives that. You know what I mean? It's
Right.
all that's all about musicality and like finding the moments in the lyrics and the beats and how to express that through movement. So music was always the common denominator. Also, I almost went to college for like drawing and painting. I did that throughout college, throughout high school as well. But yeah, long story short, I kind of like decided that music was the art form that I wanted to pursue. I was in multiple bands and ensembles, went to Boston University, also was at Berkeley for a little bit and did a lot of collaboration there. And met a lot of great people who, I'm still connected with now. So ended up studying finance, as a major and like business school, and then minored in voice performance. And yeah, so basically throughout that whole process, I was doing business because, of what I was kind of taught, from a young age, but I kept the music going. I risked my grades on so many circumstances and situations because I was like out playing a gig. I was out doing this thing. I was at Berkeley. I was, somewhere else
Right.
because I knew it felt right. You know what I mean? And I definitely had the mid-college crisis of, like, what do I want to do? All this kind of stuff. And once you start to understand, like, wow, like, you feel your best and you're your healthiest when you're in alignment with your purpose. I feel like you start to get those like little glimpses of like, all right, something doesn't feel good. I need to do something about it. But we live in a world where people are constantly just doing what they're told, what they're expected to do, what their parents did, and they're just kind of following a blueprint that may or may not resonate with who they are. They might not even know who they are, so they don't even know how to navigate this, right? So I'll never forget like those moments where I'm like questioning things. And I think that's what it really means by midlife crisis, this crisis. Honestly, I feel like if it's a midlife crisis, it's probably too late. It's like you should have a lot of micro crises along the way because all that means is that you are realizing that something is not right, something's not resonating with your spirit. And yeah, obviously survival is important, but you need to start unpacking that and to see like how you can find balance or how you can at least move towards alignment, have a plan towards alignment. So that's kind of how I got to where I'm now. I've worked a lot of corporate jobs on and off, but throughout I've moved around, lived in Canada, lived in LA, different areas in the US. I've toured as a musician, sang background vocals for other artists, opened up for a lot of big artists, written a lot of original music, have written for other people, done covers. I've played in Japan, I played in Korea, yeah, I've done a whole bunch of cool stuff. And right now I'm kind of at a place where I'm kind of deciding to be more than just a product, to be more than just, pursuing, I don't even want to say stardom, but like, I feel like becoming an artist a lot of times in the current world is being a product, but also, being one dimensional. And I feel like we're moving past that in this world. It's like people want to actually know who you are. People want to get to know you outside of your music as a person. What do you stand for? All of that. So that's kind of what the 30-day challenge that I recently did was all about. It was about me saying, okay, like release the ego, get off your high horse. The people that are meeting you for the first time don't know who the hell you are, don't know your background. It actually doesn't matter because what matters is like how you connect with them and the value that you're providing and then the person you're becoming along the way. So the 30-day personal brand challenge was something that I just came across randomly, similar to how you were scrolling and you found me. I was scrolling and I found this guy named Jim Rui Tong, and he just quit his job at Google. He was like a software engineer. He was making like 350K, but he was very not happy with his life. So he stepped away, started making content. And then a few months in, like he got a big following, and then he decided to do this personal brand challenge to kind of give back. And yeah, and it was cool because there are people who are starting from absolutely zero. They've never done anything.
Right.
And then you have people like me who are artists and who have done cool things. And then you have other content creators that are already big that were doing it. So it's cool to just like be a part of a community and just like create from scratch and just kind of redefine what it means to be a voice and an identity on the internet. After doing so much growth work and deep work and personal work, deciding to just be authentically you and see how that translates into other areas of your life. And I know I've been talking on a tangent, but I'd say the last piece I'll say is that, I've had a lot of like hardship, loss, health things and family recently that have also been a part of, me coming to where I am right now and
Hmm.
feeling that this point in my journey is more imperative now than ever and just like the perfect timing.
Right. Usually the most growth I think happens in those periods too, right? I mean, it's hard, but um you're not letting yourself get stuck, I think, and that shows.
I appreciate that.
Yeah. Um, so maybe I'll ask a question to get into more of a nitty-gritty about your origins and everything.
Sure.
But what would you think was the point that the creative journey began? Like when you really were like, you know what, this is gonna be part of my life. and I'm gonna do X, Y, and Z with it, or you know what I mean? Because I know
Mhm.
you grew up listening to music, you were surrounded by music in different forms. Um, when did you decide what your niche was, I guess?
Mhm. Yeah, I mean, I feel like I knew from even from high school that like, okay, this feels good, this feels real, this feels raw, this feels right. And there's something about that that is so important. So I feel like I understood the importance, but maybe not the why or the how. I feel like maybe that started to happen after more development, like even after college, you know? Because like after college, I feel like I kind of took I was in an ensemble, then took a break a little bit. But after I kept creating and like, because from going to high school and creating to going to college and creating to being in corporate America and still creating, I was like, okay, like clearly this is a thread that is, has been here and it's not going anywhere. But I feel like being after being in corporate America and experiencing that, that definitely, shed light on the fact that like, oh, like so much of this world and environment is so fake, and I just have so much uh experience being so real, you know what I mean? So I feel like that dissonance was like so much more apparent. So I feel like yeah, that's kind of when it started to piece together. But I'd say like a huge part of my creative growth was when I moved to Vancouver, Canada. So I lived there for 4 years actually. I moved there in 2018, and it was funny. I randomly moved there because I had like visited a few times to visit some friends, and then just like it just kind of happened naturally. I fell in love with it. Decided to apply for a visa, try it out. Didn't know what it was going to turn into, but ended up meeting some of my best friends and people that I collaborated with musically, and that was kind of cool because I got to like go to a different country, and like bring what I do to a different space and different world. And that was definitely a unique experience. And yeah, I did a lot of like experimenting with sounds. I did multiple projects that were called or it was a part of like what I called the color spectrum project. So I had like an album called Yellow, an album called Blue, Tangerine, Black and Burgundy. And that was kind of me giving myself permission to experiment with a whole bunch of different sounds and like, just going with the flow. It's like, what does this color feel like? What does it sound like? And that was where I did a lot of personal development, as an artist and understanding like what it means to be an artist and like what you stand for, because some of it was like social commentary, and some of it was, yeah, it just like pieces of myself. Like I got to experience it and practice it in real time. So yeah, I would say like it was through that process where, um, I don't even know if niche is the right word because like I'm kind of anti-niche, you know what I mean? I feel like I am the niche, you know what I mean? Like I'm the common denominator. And whether it's through me speaking, in content or creating music, I feel like, your voice, like I'm a singer, right? My voice sounds, like my voice. When you hear me, hopefully people are like, oh, like that's Makadi's voice, right? So that's the common denominator. If I decide to do that over something funky, something, pop, something, whatever. Like it's, I want that to, be able to translate. And I think like having done, that those exercises, like I can do that. Um, but I feel like again, like more importantly, like if people get to know who you are and see like, what you're about and like what you have to offer, it's like they're gonna rock with you no matter what you're gonna do. You know what I mean? So I think it's kind of a win-win. So yeah, my opinion in terms of niching is definitely like, do what you got to do and like experiment and like follow what feels real, or like, if you're trying to whatever your goals are, like go for it, but just know that like they're those are tools. They're not rules. Like these are things that you can employ, but you shouldn't feel like something else is defining you. You get to define yourself.
Nice. Yeah. Um, and I hesitated to say niche, and I knew that was going to bite me in the ass.
No, it's all good. I just want to make like because you said it, I had to
No.
clarify.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that's an important point because everyone kind of feel, not everyone, that's an overgeneralization, but a lot of people start to feel boxed in by, am I this or that, rather than, well, maybe I'm both or in the middle or, combination of
Yeah,
the.
it's just I am.
Mm.
That's all it is. I am.
Yeah.
That's the blessing too. It's like here you are, there you are. So just be.
Yeah.
Like
It's
that's
harder.
good enough. That's actually good enough. but we live in a, in a world, in like at least like, within the music industry, where people are, basically it's the system's broken, right? We kind of alluded to that earlier. So we're navigating a system that we know is broken. So we have to make conscious choices sometimes that, might have to be strategic. It might not be, what you want to do right now, but like as long as you have a plan and a direction, to get to where you want to get to, you gotta do what you gotta do. But, just know like it, and that's why I feel like we need more artists speaking, away from their instruments, so they can remind themselves and other people that like we aren't puppets, you know what I mean? Like we are actual, we are blessings, and we are actually um vibe leaders, you know what I mean? We're thought leaders, and we're it's ironic. We're the people that make people feel, make like our responsibility is to make people feel alive and make people feel, but so much of our power is, feels like it's stripped away, but we have to remember our power. We have to remember our power and own it, and decide that like, okay, cool, like I'm no longer, a young blood. I'm no longer just, someone that's just learning the ropes. It's like, no, it's like I'm seasoned now. I'm established now. I have a sense of my identity, and I know what I stand for, and I know that my gifts and my talents are tools that I can use to change people, change the world. Make people feel something. Like that's the power. And that's the power we can never forget. It's just like, okay, we can do that and still be frustrated with the current state of affairs, and we can be frustrated that, we're not getting paid enough, through streaming, or the opportunities aren't there, but our power is always there regardless. So yeah.
I mean, a lot of the biggest movements in culture have always derived from art, right?
That's
And
exactly right.
statements have always been, I mean, one of my favorite composers is Shostakovich, and he was always against the system. Even if
Mm-hmm.
he was just hiding it in his music, he said something and people caught on. So I think
Hmm.
that's an important thing to remember too.
Yeah, no, 100%. Like, yeah, I think it was Nina Simone who said that an artist's duty is to reflect the times. And I feel like I agree with her, but I feel like it almost doesn't feel like a duty, because it's just it kind of naturally happens, you know?
Yeah. I want to
Yeah.
ask you this. What challenges shape the way that you define what you do or define your art even, right? Because I was scrolling through your profiles and everything, and I saw avant-garde and I saw different types of things. So
Yeah.
yeah, what led you to define, and did you face any challenges or anything with that?
Yeah, I mean, I feel like it's an ongoing like pressure. I don't want to say ongoing identity crisis, because I feel like the identity is established, but it's more so the system, right? It's like it's a constant like strategic thought to be like, all right, like how do I fit in here, and how can I make it make sense? Because from a business perspective, right? Like in terms of, having people understand you, I think it's important to, as an artist, to also have a business mindset and understand how things work, whether, regardless of how fair or not fair it is, or how just or unjust it is. So yeah, I'd say that like it's really like the biggest challenge that I feel like any vocalist or artist is like, you know, how do I stay authentic without putting myself in a box that doesn't feel real? So I'd say like me doing the color spectrum project and like kind of experimenting and doing all this like kind of helped me gain my confidence in terms of like this is who I am unapologetically, you know what I mean? I'd say like R&B is kind of my foundation as a vocalist. I'd say like stylistically, vocal like the style of my vocal is R&B, but I hesitate to be like, oh, I'm just an R&B artist, because like that doesn't fully describe who I am. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
Um, and I think we are starting to see artists more like branch out a little bit and be like, oh, they have a song that's a little more R&B, a song that's a little more country, a song that's a little more pop, because
Vessel,
that's just
let's
more
say.
real. You know what I mean? Because like I agree with Pharrell, who basically says that like we're a vessel. Like
Yeah.
we're a vessel for like the creative universe, and ideas flow through our vessel and they come out, right? So why am I applying filters? Why am I applying like earthly filters to something that's divine? That makes no sense. It's like if anything, we're being a disservice to ourselves and into God by trying to think that we get to narrow down, filter, curate what the gifts that he gave us in the first place. Because if we're not going to fully live out the gift, it's like maybe we didn't deserve it in the first place. So it's like again, it's a reminder to like get out the matrix, get out the system and say like fuck like all of these restrictions that are trying to be applied to me. So it's a constant battle though, right? Because it's just like yes, I sing in an R&B style. Yes, people probably connect with me to more of like R&B soul, but I'm not afraid to sing something pop. I'm not afraid to sing something a little more country. You know what I mean? And I also feel like when you move like that, eventually, like it's all gonna click and make sense as you move forward. Like you can only connect the dots looking backwards, which is what Steve Jobs says all the time. And I truly, truly, truly believe that because like you're not going to become who you're meant to become by hesitating, constantly folding, hesitating, second guessing. No, no, that's not going to work because like all you're doing is worrying about what other people think, and these other people don't even know what they think about themselves. So what are we even doing here? Most of them don't even have, the blessing of being an artist or a creator. So like the challenge is like there's no blueprint. I have to figure it out for myself. But it's gonna be even more legendary because I did.
Yeah. And you keep saying something, and I'm gonna be a devil's advocate here.
Sure.
Maybe. Maybe it's not a devil's advocate. But do you believe that certain people only have the divine gift of being an artist, or do you think everyone can be an artist?
That's a great question. You're putting me on the spot. I love it. I would say no. Everybody in the world has the capacity to to be creative. We're all vessels. I mean, like,
Yeah.
we are all spirits. We are all vessels. You know what I mean? I think that some of us were given specific, what's the word I want to use?
Talents?
Hmm?
Talents?
Yeah, talents, but I kind of just wanted to use a word that wasn't just
So vague.
something that was more general. Like we have different what's the word? Maybe like we come like not all like all blessings and all like yeah, all our blessings aren't like of the same nature, I guess is the best way I can say it. It's like there are different pillars, right? There are different pillars of creativity. There are different outlets to change, and there are different outlets to affecting change and inspiring change. It's not just like creativity isn't just arts, honestly, in my opinion.
Mhm.
So I feel like in these different silos we've each been gifted certain things. Some of us have been gifted multiple, like whatever, but we're never going to figure those out without like kind of looking inwards and kind of just doing like I was just talking about. But yeah, everybody has the capacity and we're all vessels and it's up to us to access them. But we also live in systems that like are proactively, disengaging or having people disengage with their creativity. I mean, the way the system is built, the way we're taught to learn, what we learn, it's like it's very mechanical. It doesn't prioritize the arts. I mean, arts aren't even funded. Arts aren't even, essential in curriculum, even free thinking. All of that is, so it's basically radical to be a creative. And it's also radical to be nonconformist. It's radical to think for yourself. It's radical to feel, to honor how you feel. It's radical to it's radical to want to be happy. It's because like when you connect the dots, it's just like it's pretty much what it is because the world isn't set up to make us happy, especially, not in our society, in our country. It's set up to make money and to continue to operate. And the rest, we just got to figure out for ourselves, right? So it's just like we're constantly navigating a system that has a set of priorities and structured a certain way that doesn't prioritize our own well-being or our divine our divine calling or our divine capabilities. So it's just like we aren't taught how to navigate these things, right? So we have to develop our relationship with God. We have to develop our relationship with ourselves and look inward. But there's no blueprint again. So it's on us. You know what I mean? So another important point is like because it's radical because it's not the norm. We can't look for external validation. It's not going to come because the majority of people aren't going to understand. The system doesn't understand. So, but the tricky part is like when you're not a full adult yet, it's like we kind of operate off of external validation, which probably is why people are turned off to being their authentic selves in the first place, or even like exploring something that's creative. Because it's just like that cognitive dissonance. We're looking for external validation, but the way the system's set up, like it's not prioritizing, validating us as individuals or as creatives. So we shut that off. We become NPCs. And, a lot of us never get to, fully actualize like who we could have been all along or what we were supposed to do.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm glad I asked that too, because I want to make sure there's some people's opinions that only certain people can be artists or whatever. So I wanted to ask because I was like, I don't think that aligns with everything, and I wanted to make sure that everyone knew what you're going
Yeah.
with at that, and that's absolutely, I agree. Right.
Word. Yeah, no, I think just like I think it's a narrow-minded view to disagree, because I don't think it's like an opinion thing in my like if I'm being honest. It's it's
Right.
it's you just have to expand your mind and understand and like just take a step back and think about what does it mean to be creative?
Yeah.
Because like I feel like again, as you said, like there's a lot of elitism, like entitlement. And we can even talk about like jazz music, which is really Black American music, right? And like it's like taught by like, in predominantly white institutions, and there's like an elitism around that, and there's a disconnection from where that even comes from in the first place. Even when it comes to like hip hop and like soul and stuff, when you have a lot of non-Black people that are partaking in that, I've met so many people that like regardless of how good they are at their craft, they're so disconnected from where it came from in the first place. So it doesn't surprise me that so many people are disconnected from that because like it doesn't even benefit someone to think that something is only for them, because maybe their definition of what they're talking about is just narrower and we're not even on the same page, maybe they're just talking about like this very specific thing. Not everyone can, whatever. But like I think it's important to think about it at a high level.
Yeah. Do you want to talk about some of the things you've seen in jazz?
I mean, again, like I'm I'm not a jazz musician. I'm jazz adjacent because like at the end of the day, it's black music, right? It's all black music.
Mm.
But that being said, I've played a lot of jazz. I've been in jazz communities. But at the end of the day, like I think the main point is like it's black music, and it comes from struggle, right? Like it like when you go through the timeline and understand like black music from all the way from like, you know, Afro rhythms all the way to like, spirituals
Hmm.
to, soul and blues and funk and soul and like in jazz and like all that, like that is all from the black experience, the like from oppression, from struggle. So you kind of follow that time and understand like how this is very spiritual. This is very divine. Like this is literally what I mean when I'm saying like this is like coming through people like through their vessel and into the world, generationally too. Because like, what I'm saying? Not every generation gets to see the fruits of their seeds and the fruits of their labor like that gets passed down and moved forward. So yeah, it's just like I see a lot of a lack of respect and understanding for that. There's like an entitlement to things, it's like, oh well, I like this. Or I'm good at this, so it belongs to me because I feel like a lot of, you know, I mean, a lot of white people, but like I guess it applies to like a lot like non-black people in general feel like it's almost like you're trying to take something away from them when you're saying like not saying you can't play it or do it right because it's like it's all about connecting and community and moving it forward and changing the world, but like a lot of people like it is just like some like entitlement, but again like that's also passed down in like through history, like the entitlement, the imperialism, the yeah, the yeah, just the the right that people feel to things that they enjoy or that they want, and dissociating themselves from like the source, you know. But I mean, that's a history lesson. We can go down that path. But yeah, I think like it's important in music to understand like where music comes from, where art comes from, where because it also reminds you how to use it, how to wield it. Because like this isn't just for fun and games like this is powerful stuff that you can change the world with. So like you have to honor it in order for that feeling and that power to actually, be wieldable and to actually be effective.
Yeah, and I'm gonna go off of this because I think it's important not only to mention the problems, but also talk about some solutions, right? Actionable steps. I
Hmm.
was once at a recital where I heard a male white vocalist sing a spiritual with no preface, no historical
Hmm.
context, no anything. And I was in a I think at this time I was an undergrad student, and I was in a class that was about American music. And we talked about this. We talked about all of this, and my wonderful instructor, I'll name her name, Dr. Gina Bambola, said, you know, I don't think that other people should play other people's music from different cultures without actually understanding where it's from, right? And I think one of the biggest mistakes that artists make is not only not having an understanding of the background, the historical background, cultural background, all of that, which, especially if you go to school for the damn thing, you learn it. You learn it all right. That's what those history classes are about. But
Hmm.
also to learn how to talk about it.
Hmm.
And if you don't feel comfortable talking about it, you should not perform it. That's one. And then the second thing is I think that at the very least, incorporate some community aspects to it, right? I think that one of the biggest things that like you're saying, art has this culture, or art has an importance for community, right? Maybe we said that off of the call at the beginning, but either way, right? Art is community adjacent, right? We want to
Right.
bring people involved into it. Um, and I think when we go perform it on a stage secluded for a recital, that's it feels weird, right?
Hmm.
Um, and I think that's important concepts for classical musicians, jazz musicians, anyone like that. So, thank you for bringing it up because
Yeah. Yeah, no,
it's
and then
important. And
thanks for the example of the solution too. Like it's key. It's key because like a lot in the past I've just said like like acknowledge it. Whether that's on stage or whatever. But you're right. Like because I feel like by that point a lot of people have already missed the opportunity to like have that message in that respect and that honorability be a part of like their core and who they are. Because you don't want anything performative. You want it to be coming from a place of honesty and truth.
Mhm.
And the way to make sure that happens is like start from the beginning, right? And that means, you have to have the right teachers, the right curriculum, the right, enforcement of those things. But those are all great ideas, and I think that it's crucial. But I think that, more people are starting to talk about it and we're starting to see a little bit more. So it's definitely encouraging, but we definitely need a lot of those structural changes, going back to like the system, the structure, and all of these things, and even
Unfortunately, we
curriculum.
in the arts world, we're going backwards. I hate to admit it. In academia, we're taking away a lot of those discussion points, and due to our friendly, lovely, wonderful administration, um, and
Right.
it does take like people are going to want to have to do it, right? A lot of musicians go, "Oh my gosh, I have to learn about how to do this." It's like, get out of my field, I think
Hello.
the biggest thing to do is, or the best thing you can do for your person is be understanding,
Hmm.
empathy, right? It's not that hard.
Right. Exactly. Exactly. It takes time. It takes time, it takes effort, but it's not hard. It's not hard. So, yeah.
Hard for small people. Okay. So, okay, let's talk about some of this mindset and growth type of things. Let's get into some fun stuff, right?
Yeah, yeah, for
So,
sure.
we know that creativity takes resilience, right? You've already kind of talked about how you the Steve Jobs quote that you brought up, right?
Hmm.
Hesitancy is the death of a creative.
Hmm.
Um, what what do you think it is that some people, I don't want to say lack, but struggle with in terms of practicing that authentic creativity and staying on top of themselves? Is it a motivation thing? Is it a depression thing? Like what do you see as like a common denominator today? Besides, of course, the clear things of systems kind of going,
Hmm.
go back to work and do your corporate job type of thing, right?
Yeah, no, yeah, I like more so mindset, like self-imposed.
Yeah,
I mean, there are definitely a few that I would want to mention. I would say first is like not feeling ready. I feel like a lot of people are, I mean, especially now, it's like we're in the comparison age, right? We're on social media, we're seeing polished, finished products left and right. You know what I mean? And it kind of skews our perception because the algorithms only feeding us what we want to see and what our interests are. And, we're seeing the byproducts of hardworking people that have been working on things for a long period of time, but we don't see the process and our brain doesn't process that there is a process that was involved in creating this, but like just automatically we start comparing ourselves. So it's like, oh, we're not ready, or I'm not ready, I'm not refined enough. I don't have, the equipment that I want to use. I don't have the reps in. I don't have like whatever it is, you feel like the feeling of inadequacy. But that was never a prerequisite to create. And I feel like that's something that a lot of artists forget about, It's like like because when things trigger your ego, you tend to pause, you tend to take a step back, you feel inadequate, you lose your confidence, you start second guessing yourself. And it's a spiral, and it's a spiral that requires a proactive practice of mindfulness to dismantle that, right?
right.
To dismantle that process. But I see a lot of that. Like comparison is an issue, and I feel like that is also a byproduct of the industry saying like, oh, like this sound is like what's hot right now, or like if you want to be a singer, if you want to be like you have to do this or you have to do this. So like people have like archetypes that they're comparing themselves to that they see, and they're just like, well, I don't sound like this person, I can't belt like this person, I don't have this person's tone. It's like for me, I think the wake up moment was when I realized that like wow, like the only thing that it's like yes, I'm talented, I'm gifted, but the only thing I can control and the most beautiful thing is that I am the only me that exists. Like there is only one me, and I need to lean into that because like that's a gold mine. You know what I mean? Like that's like winning a lottery ticket because like no matter how much someone else tries, and no matter how many generations to come, there will only be one you. So capitalize on that and allow that to be your confidence. Allow that to be your adequacy and allow that to be what tells you to just start creating now. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I don't remember the exact quote, but there's a quote also that says that like you're never going to be 100% ready. You know what I mean? And honestly, it's true because like I feel like what does ready even mean, right? It's like, okay, like if you have, if you have talent, you have the reps, you have the 10,000 hours and you have passion, it's like that's more than enough. It's like it's like as long as you're a self-aware person, that's more than enough. And the only way you're gonna close the gap is by doing.
Yeah.
Like readiness isn't just about preparation, it's about doing.
Yeah, absolutely. So, do you have anything, words of wisdom for people that just can't get started? What do you tell people if they're like, "Hey, Makati, I have this idea. I want to do this. I've done all of this for preparation. I just can't. I, what do you say to that?"
I'd probably say what's more important to you, creating or your ego? Like I'm just gonna keep it 100. Like I'm not gonna baby somebody and be like, it's okay, like just start. Cause like yeah, just start. But it's just like we have to level set here. Like what are you actually why are you doing this in the first place? Are you doing this to perform? Are you doing this because someone told you to do it? Are you doing it to be cool? Are you trying to be popular? Are you trying like if this is superficial and then you know what? I probably don't I'm not the right person to give you advice because like I'm somebody who's doing this because like it's a part of who I am, you know, and it's just something that I enjoy doing. It's like the focus should be from joy because if it's about ego and not joy, then we're having an apples to orange conversation. So I'm gonna say I understand that the ego is something that we all deal with, but like, is that more important than you being happy in the long term and enjoying yourself? Because if not, and then now we have somewhere to start in this conversation to unpack, unpack the blocks that are holding you back. Because like if we establish, okay, this is something that you love to do, this is a part of who you are. You care about being happy more than other people's opinions. You care about being happy more than your ego trying to, steal the spotlight. It's like, okay, cool. Well, now there are tools and there's mindfulness, activities and mindset and things that we can do to, make it a practice to change the way we see ourselves and see the world. And then I will say, just do it. Just start. Maybe do a 30-day challenge because maybe you just need a little accountability to kick you into gear and then, you go from there. But there has to be a foundation. There has to be a foundation. And you have to meet people where they're at and they have to be real about where they're at and like why. Their why. People are so disconnected from their why because we live in a world that is about ego stroking, immediate gratification, and yeah, it's more about appealing to our flesh than to our spirit. And that like that already creates a disconnect for doing the inner work, the deeper work and understanding your why.
Yeah. And I think that something that I personally have struggled with too on this front is yes, I also see the people that are successful in the world are the ones who just go, F it, let's go. Let's do it. Right. But then you also see all of the problems that these successful people have in their lives, and you're like, well, if they're like that, then I don't want to be like them. But you also have to think about how many successful people there are that you don't even know that
Exactly.
are actually good people.
Right. What the algorithm is feeding you and what you see is like it's not real.
Yeah.
It's like our perspectives are literally shaped by like what we're seeing on a daily basis. It's kind of almost like the fallacy of like, you know, if you grew up in in a bubble, right? All you know is that bubble, and that's all you believe. And then once you experience something else, you're gonna like assume it's wrong or assume that, what I'm saying, that like it doesn't make sense or that, you're gonna be ignorant to, certain things. But like we have to be careful about, what we're consuming, basically, and also reminding ourselves that it's never the complete picture. Um, and what was the second part you said? There's something else I wanted to say there.
There's there's people that you don't even see that are still successful.
Right, right, exactly. That's the other thing because I can it's easy to
What
like
is success is really what I'm saying.
Or sometimes you feel like people are successful that don't deserve it, right? Or they're just like, oh, like they've had it easy and like now they're, they got a couple viral videos and now their business is going well or they're successful or like whatever. And again, like don't let your ego creep into it. But again, you also never know people's full story. But regardless, there are going to be people that don't deserve it and they got it. And you know what I'm saying? They had it easy, but that doesn't matter. That actually doesn't matter because like that's not your story and that is not your journey. And that fact or lack of fact is not going to change your truth. It's like you're better off leaning into your truth and embracing your story and letting it like be that much more epic. You know what I mean? Because like if you have a crazier come up story, like it's like that's just gonna be that much more legendary. And you're also just like who you're gonna become is gonna be so much more grounded in truth and spirit and like basically it's like you're gonna be able to experience the world deeper. You're gonna be able to experience yourself deeper. You're gonna be able to experience God deeper and more regulated,
Hmm.
because of what you had to go through. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
Um, one of my homies I follow on TikTok, what did he just say in one of his videos? He was just saying hard times can either break you or make you, and then that it's a choice which one it is. You know, it's like you have to let all those moments make you, but like just changing your mindset and realizing how much each of these moments are shaping you, you know? So don't think of it as a basically don't think of your misfortunes as misfortunes. Like think of them as opportunities to dig deeper and to become a better person, a more seasoned person that can do better for themselves, the people they love in the world, and then you get to experience everything deeper.
Yeah. One of my favorite things, because I used to be the person that was like, man, I'm just unlucky. Everyone else has better luck. I'm gonna struggle. I need to force my way into that sphere.
Hmm.
Didn't work so well for me. And my
Hmm.
professor will love him to death till the day I die. He said, look down at your damn stand, work on your music, tell your story, kill it.
Hmm.
And that's what I've been doing for 3 years.
I love it. I love it.
He's all for that authentic self. Why be someone? Why chase for something that you aren't? Tell your story.
Right.
Exactly.
Hmm. The world tries to convince us that what we want is something else.
Yeah.
But it's up to us to figure out what we truly want, like ego aside, and it has to come from here, you know? And I love that, you know, simple and effective. It's just
Oh yeah.
like trust. That's basically what it's saying. He's like, yo, like do you, like do you, there's only one you. Lock in and just trust and live. You know what I mean? Like some people out here forgetting to live. And I'm talking about people with money, people with everything, people, you know, both fortunate and unfortunate. They're like forgetting to live and they're forgetting that like every day is a blessing. Like every breath is a blessing. Like waking up is the blessing. You know what I mean? So when we're talking about like hard times make you or break you, it's up to you. A lot of people will resist that or like be like, oh, it's so easy to say that. I'm like, you woke up today. So many people did not. And like it has to come back down to that because like we get to go through frustration. We get to struggle and overcome. We get to navigate and figure it out and have the highs and lows because we're still here. In one video that I haven't made yet, I basically say time isn't running out, time is running. And that like all we need is a reframe because this whole idea that like time's running out is from a very entitled perspective. It's saying, oh, well, you know, this time is it's so it's limited. There's not enough time for, you know, me to accomplish this. It's like, no. What you're saying is that you're not respecting the time that you do have, and you're not moving on it right here and right now. Time is not running out. Time is running in. It's running into you, and it's up to you what you're gonna do with it. Every day you wake up, that's more time.
Yeah. And I'll get grim with it too. I always wake up and I'm like, okay, I wake up or I choose to not.
Right. Right.
Those are your
Mm-hmm.
two options. Go
Right.
or don't.
Mm-hmm.
So
Right. It's like, yeah, it's just we it reframes that we're like, you know, humans are adaptable beings. Like it's like we can just, you know, sit and wallow in our sadness forever. But like that's a disservice to the capacity and capability that you were spiritually given. Like it's a God-given right to overcome and to adapt and to lean in and to discover who you really are and to unlock your true potential. Like that's actually the beauty of life. You know what I mean? If everything's just handed to you and everything is just like there's no effort involved, it's like what's the freaking point
boring.
of you know, because like you're also not even going to appreciate it. You're just going to be entitled even more, and you're just going to never be satisfied with anything. So you have to define what joy looks like for you. You have to actually work towards things and enjoy the work part. Enjoy the struggle because like if it's just gonna magically happen, like what are we doing? The reason why accolades are a big deal is because like people grinded. They went through things that people could never imagine and they like did this. They proved to themselves that they could do this. And like that is the feat. It's not the just the album or whatever, you know? It's like who you became and who or like what you never thought was possible that actually was. You
Right.
know, I think that like that's such a key reframe because it's so easy to sit in your feelings because you know it's a very human thing to experience all your emotions. But the problem is like when you get overwhelmed by them, when you let specific emotions kind of take over and start to convince you that you're not capable, that nothing's ever going to change, that the magic of the gifts from God doesn't actually exist. But we see examples of it all the time. So again, that's what I'm saying. What are you consuming every day? Like what's your why? Do you actually like stop caring about what other people think and really make it a practice to focus on what you care about? Because like those things are gonna add up into your joy. Like if you're constantly giving your power away and being like, well, this person's success is gonna trigger me. This person's opinion is gonna make me feel like I'm not enough. This feeling that I'm experiencing is gonna control me. It's like, okay, well, maybe we shouldn't be talking about creativity. We should be talking about like, meditation. We should be talking about like what you're doing, um, in your daily life to feel good and take care of your body. Because you got to take care of your body to take care of your mind and take care of both. And that will take care of your creativity and your outlet. Like it's all connected. You can't think of it separately. Like if someone's having issues like becoming, the best version of themselves, whether in the creative capacity or not, but they're eating like shit, they haven't exercise, they haven't gone on a walk or done anything in so long. It's like, well, we can't ignore the physical realities of the human body either, right? It's like if we're eating junk food all the time, we're not moving our bodies, we're not hydrating, we're not all this, like our body's already not going to feel good. And that's actually going to impact how we're thinking too. Like we're not going to be able to think clearly. We're going to be more susceptible to, wallowing in emotions. Sometimes that's the fix. The fix is like going on an hour walk every day, changing how you're eating, all these things. It's all connected. And I feel like a lot of times the conversations about happiness, about joy, about passion, creativity, calling, all of that, it's always talked about separately, but I feel like it was worth mentioning that because it's very, very much connected. And that's been a huge part of my practice over the last year. It's like I lost probably 30 pounds or more over the last year. I just changed the way I was eating, the way I was moving, and I saw how that directly affected how my vocals felt on a daily basis, how I felt on a daily basis, um, uh, how I felt about myself on a daily basis, and how I show up, like showing up for myself. And like it was a perfect example of how I can show up in other areas of my life too. Because if you can show up in one area, you can definitely show up in another area. A lot of people think they can't. It's like if you became a professional musician and became like that wasn't easy. You did that through like now apply that same dedication to other areas of their life as well, And I feel like a lot of artists don't talk enough about all areas of their life. It's always about, the hustle or the immediate challenges, but, and then they're having family issues or their kids hate them or whatever, It's like, life is multifaceted. We got to honor all the parts and we can't talk about things in the silo.
Yeah. I mean, it's all holistic, right? Everything's,
Exactly.
yeah. Um, so your work, everything you do kind of moves between different film stuff. You have music, you have your lifestyle creations.
Yep, yep. Actor. Yeah, I
Yeah,
worked in
you do
finance.
a lot
Yeah.
of different stuff. So what did you decide, or have you decided, was like the best medium to give or to carry the
Mm.
message?
Like to be of service.
Yeah.
I feel like I started the content thing because I thought it was the most immediate and accessible way to do it. I feel like whether like both to like be of service, but also to like achieve your goals, even if you're an actor, musician. It's like, as a musician, you work on music, you release music, you play shows periodically. As an actor, you do auditions. It's like when you're creating content, you're not waiting for permission and you're not waiting for, periods of time. It's like you get to create real time and connect with people real time. And I'd say like content creation has been great in that way where it's like I immediately get to make an impact and grow as an individual as well. So I'd say like content creation is the quickest way. I would say if we're talking about like favorite way, it's kind of hard to say. I mean, I feel like I've been a musician the longest, and like kind of like voice is definitely one. It would have to be the number one like cathartic way for that I enjoy kind of expressing. but I enjoy it all. I enjoy it all. But I think content creation um kind of like rounded out everything, because like I'm not waiting for a big film project to be in, or I'm not waiting to release thing. I'm not waiting for a show. It's like I get to show up real time and also incorporate all those talents, as I see fit.
Right. And I think that's the key thing, as you see fit, not as
Hmm.
anybody else sees fit.
That's right.
Right. Um, yeah, pretty cool. One last question, and then we'll get into our like signature moment for Arcpoint Sessions. What does authenticity look like for you off of camera? Because we talk about authenticity when we're recording and all of that sort of thing. What do you do to hold yourself accountable on that front?
Yeah, I mean, I would just say that like authenticity, it's like when when it's talked about on social media, it's very much, it can sound like a buzzword, but it's really an honoring of yourself. It's like to me, like what does it like when is my nervous system regulated?
Yeah.
When do I feel at peace? When do I feel joy in terms of how I show up, how I interact, even with the boundaries that I set? Like that is what being authentic means. It's like it's a practice. Authenticity is a practice and it's an awareness. You have to see how you exist in spaces and how that makes you feel because like you can only honor who you truly are when you're being honest about how the space is, how you're showing up in spaces, not to seem to other people, but how it feels to you. So I think it's an ongoing practice of like I have moments all the time where I'm like, no, I wasn't authentic in that moment, or like, oh, like I overextended myself, or oh, that was performative in like a way that like I'm proactively trying to unlearn, right? Because a lot of times we're unlearning things that were part of the way we operate. So, yeah, the short answer is like honoring yourself. It's not about proving to someone that you're being authentic. It's to being and feeling the most peaceful and in alignment and raw with yourself, with everything else being a non-factor, with the
Yeah.
external world being a non-factor. Because then in turn, the external world is going to peep that. They're going to feel that shit and they're going to be like, "Oh, damn, like yeah, that's inspirational." I feel like when you're trying to be authentic in like a performance type of way, it's like that's kind of like what a lot of social media, kind of it conflates it for people. People think like, oh, being charismatic and being super loud and, having, you talking to the camera, like that is authenticity. And it's like, no, that's a personality, like whatever, like that just that happens to be who this person is, hopefully, right? But no, that's not authenticity. Authenticity doesn't equal charisma. And that's probably something that a lot of people don't even understand. They're like, "Oh, I can't be authentic." What they're really saying is like, "Oh, I can't, I'm not out, I'm not extroverted or I'm not, whatever." Two completely different things.
Yeah, I'm glad I asked the question, even though it is simple, really. Because I think that a lot of creatives, honestly, a lot of people, right? We see it on social media every day, but a lot of people even that are not on social media, not creatives, anything, they don't know who they are. So they put on a performative aspect, and it ties back to exactly what you were talking about before. Because of
Hmm.
the systems that are in play, people don't know who they are. So then they enact, yeah. So people aren't being authentic and are being performative, honestly, without even knowing it. And this is
Correct.
a big generalization, of course,
For sure.
but I think that
Obviously not everybody, but yes, it's like it's very apparent. It's very pervasive.
yeah, coming from the South, I know it too well.
Mm.
So yeah, it's like you have to have that practice. Who am I is step one. And
Hmm.
then consciously trying to grow and learn every single day. Put yourself in check. Did I really mean that? Did I really feel that way? What did I
Right.
make that person feel like? It's hard, but you should do it. That is what makes humanity better.
Exactly, in the long run, right? Because you're just thinking about you're honoring your future self. Like your future self's gonna thank you because, you know, like everything worth having is like it requires you enduring. So
Yeah.
endure. Just go ahead and endure and like and trust. Like you have to have faith, throughout the entire thing. and again, kind of goes back to what I was talking about earlier. It's like you have to know that the when you move intentionally, it's everything's gonna work out in your favor. That's literally what manifestation is. It's like you're doing the deep work, knowing that it's going to compound over time,
Yeah,
and it might not be linear, and that's okay.
absolutely. Nothing's linear.
Right.
Not
Yeah,
even the
really.
stock market.
Right. So,
Yeah. Okay, so we've come to our wonderful segment point, the resonance moment of Arcpoint Sessions. And this is kind of like a time capsule thing, but really what I wanted to ask you is, since you're so well spoken on this mindset front, and um, honestly, just have really good advice for people, do you have anything that you want to share to the community of people that might be feeling stuck or might be feeling nervous to take down a challenging stigma or system, or to branch out into something that they've always been wanting to do but aren't sure if that really fits their
just
brand and
kind of
what
like
it's
an
right now?
overall message, basically, just
Yeah.
something to
Or
like give.
something that you're thinking about right now and you aren't so sure about it, but you
Yeah,
want to
yeah.
revisit it. Something like that.
For sure. I mean, like I'm kind of a place in like a limbo place in my life right now. You know what I mean? So like it's really very much a practice for me right now, and I'm I'm really seeing how much growth and development I've done. You know what I mean? To up till this point because like everything is in sunshine and rainbows right now, but like I have faith and I trust. And I've seen a lot of amazing moments, and I will see a lot more. The best times, the best moments of your life haven't happened yet. I'll start with that. I would say do the work. Do the work to dismantle your ego and honor yourself. And honestly take a look in the mirror and and just acknowledge that the way you've been moving through the world maybe hasn't been um prioritizing the way you feel and the way that you want to show up in the world, and that's okay. Like the time to start the change is now. It's a practice, and it's not easy, but start to honor yourself, start to consume content and read books that are about mindset, that are about meditation, that are in the direction of where you want to go. If you actually truly want to do something for yourself, like start acting like it. Start consuming things that prove that, right? I have a video that I posted recently that I was basically calling people out, saying I was like, you're full of shit. You're a liar. You claim to want all these things, but your habits and your behaviors are showing me that you're an average Joe. And it's like that was just to wake people up to say like, hey, like it has to reflect your actions, your daily actions have to reflect the life you're trying to build. If you're trying to become a billionaire, it's like, all right, how many billionaires are there? So it's like you have to already be in the top like 0.003 percentile of being disciplined. You know what I mean? Most people aren't even in the 60th percentile of discipline.
And they have
And
their
then
Starbucks in
you
their
have to be,
hand too.
huh?
And they have their Starbucks in their hand too.
You know what I mean? Like, exactly, exactly. So it's just like be honest with yourself, get in touch with what you actually care about, take care of your body, take care of yourself. Have faith, be patient. Just do the thing. Stop giving a fuck what people think and learn what that really means for yourself. Dismantle your ego and just maximize every day. Maximize every day. Embrace all emotions, both positive and negative, but don't let those things consume you. And just know that you are more than enough. You might not be doing enough, but you are more than enough. And yeah, that's it.
Nice. I lost what I was going to say after that because I was going to double down on everything you were saying, but you know what? I think you said it well enough.
Yeah.
Um, Makadi, thank you for sharing your story, all of your
hmm
vision, and how you think. I think this is really, really thoughtful. Um,
Thank you. I appreciate you reaching out. I appreciate you saying that.
yeah. Do you have anything you want to shout out for us?
Yeah, I mean, like again, what up, y'all? My name is Makadi. Thank you for tuning in. You can tap in with me on TikTok and Instagram to continue following the journey. That's at Makadi, Makadi official on both. TikTok, and Instagram. I also have YouTube, which I think is also at Makadi Official, but I haven't posted on there in a while, but I need to kind of step that up. But yeah, stay in touch. Stay tuned for more mindfulness and just real talk and more just more everything, more life, more singing, more acting, more showing up in the ways that I want to show up, and hopefully that inspires you guys to do the same. And shout out Jacob as well, and make sure to support him and Arcpoint and his channel as well. And get out there, keep going. Let's go.
Nice. Words to end this episode on and very strong. Awesome. Well, thank you guys for watching, and thank you, Makati, again for joining.
Awesome.